This morning, I sat on my porch before the sun had fully decided to show itself. The fog rested low among the trees, heavy and patient, as if it had nowhere else to be. I watched it slowly lift, unraveling from the branches one breath at a time. And in that stillness, something settled inside me. I am 80 years old. It is a strange thing to say out loud. Stranger still to realize how quietly it arrived. There was no announcement, no drum roll. One day I was busy, distracted, certain I still had time. And then one morning, the house was silent, the porch was cold, and I understood exactly where I stood in the long line of human life. I stood in the long line of human life. People talk about silence as if it is empty, but that is not true. Silence, at this age, is full. It is crowded. It is a library of echoes. Every room in this house holds voices that no longer speak. Laughter that once filled the air now lives only in memory. Footsteps that once crossed these floors have long since faded. Over 8 decades, I have watched the world change its clothes many times. I have watched technology shrink distances and widen misunderstandings. I have watched values rise, fall, and rise again under different names. But more than anything else, I have watched people leave. My parents, my siblings, friends who once knew me so well they could finish my sentences, and the person I believed would be holding my hand until my very last breath. They are all gone now. When you reach this age, you begin to understand something the young rarely see. You become invisible. Not in a cruel way, just quietly. The world belongs to those who are rushing forward. And from where I stand now, all that rushing feels like watching people sprint across sand dunes, terrified of falling behind something they cannot even see. They ask me questions sometimes. What is it like? They look at me with pity, as if being the last one standing must be a terrible thing. But there is a secret about being 80 that no one tells you until you get here. When everything and everyone is stripped away, what remains is not nothing. What remains is the truth. If you are younger than me, listen carefully. If you are my age, sit with me for a moment. I want to tell you about the things that do not leave, the things that stay when the house is quiet and the phone stops ringing. This is what remains. The first lesson arrived slowly, and it took most of my life to understand it. We do not own anything, not our homes, not our careers, not even the people we love. In my 40s and 50s, I believed my life was defined by what I had built. I measured myself by productivity, by progress, by recognition. I guarded my achievements as if they were permanent structures carved into stone. The houses I once lived in belong to strangers now. My professional accomplishments, things I once believed would outlive me, have faded into footnotes, remembered by people who barely knew my name, if at all. What remains is not the trophy. It is the person I became while chasing it. I learned too late that the people in our lives are not possessions. They are loans. We are trusted with them for a season, not a lifetime. When you stop trying to hold people tightly and instead focus on truly experiencing them, something changes. Grief does not disappear, but it transforms. Loss stops feeling like theft and starts feeling like gratitude. What remains is the love you gave, because love is the only thing that does not rot, does not depreciate, and does not end up sorted through by strangers after you are gone. When you are young, you believe life happens in big moments, weddings, promotions, milestones. You stare at the horizon, convinced fulfillment is always just ahead. I spent years waiting for life to begin. Now I know better. Life was happening quietly all along, in ordinary mornings, in shared meals, in conversations that seemed forgettable at the time but now glow with meaning. If I could return to my younger self, I would not ask for more success. I would ask for more attention. I would slow down long enough to notice the steam rising from a cup of coffee. I would sit longer in moments that did not announce themselves as important. What remains at the end of a long life is not a highlight reel. It is a collection of small, beautiful nothings that turned out to be everything. I have learned to sit with my own thoughts, to forgive the man I was at 25, to make peace with the choices I made at 50. What remains is a quiet friendship with the person in the mirror. You realize, slowly and gently, that you are never as alone as you feared. You were your own companion all along. People ask me if I have regrets. Of course I do. Anyone who says otherwise is lying to you or to themselves. But there is a difference between regret and remorse. I regret the risks I did not take, the love I did not speak aloud because pride told me to stay silent. But remorse, that is heavier, remorse comes from moments of unkindness, from choosing to be right instead of choosing to be gentle, from holding grudges that now feel absurd in the face of time. As the names in my address book were crossed out one by one, I learned something painful and undeniable. Being right is the loneliest victory in the world. Kindness was always the correct answer. Always. If there is someone you can call today, do it. Not to argue, not to explain, just to say, I'm glad you're here, because one day they won't be. And nothing you were fighting about will matter at all. There is a strange grace in watching the world move on without you. At first, it hurt. I felt discarded, irrelevant. Then, I realized something profound. This is how it is supposed to be. My role now is not to lead, it is to witness. I look into my grandson's eyes and see my father looking back at me. There is immense freedom in letting go of the need to be important. What remains is the joy of seeing life continue, knowing that something of me lives quietly within it. So what remains when everyone has left? Gratitude, a fierce, aching gratitude for the impossibility of existence, for the privilege of having been here at all, for having loved, even when it cost me, for having seen 29,200 sunrises. I am 80 years old, and I am not afraid of the dark anymore, because I have learned that light does not disappear. It simply moves to the next room. If you are listening to this, do not wait until you are 80 to discover what remains. Look for it now. It is in your breath, in the person across from you, in the quiet place inside your heart. Thank you for sitting with me on this porch for a while. If this spoke to you, share it with someone you love. And if you wish, tell me, what is one thing you have learned to cherish as you've grown older? I read every word. It makes the house feel less quiet,